Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to Align with Soulitude. In today's episode, I'm going to be sharing my mental health journey. I'm going to be asking my co-host here to share any insights that come up for him as we get into it. But yeah, we're just going to begin.
So in today's episode, we're going to be exploring your personal mental health journey and the things you've gone through, different things that you've experienced, and the different things you find out about yourself and how you healed those things. Why don't we first start off with the first time you went through finding out whether you were depressed or anxious about something? Well, I just want to know the first time you've gone through something like that.
Okay. Well, depression started very early on for me. But as children, we don't really realize what's happening. I always had like a very childlike nature, and I was very playful, very free-spirited. And obviously, as children, as you begin to grow up, you start to notice the cracks in like your domestic foundation. So within my house, as you guys have probably already been up to date with, in terms of my father, the dynamic I had in a family with his alcoholism. If you haven't, go check out the other episodes. There's some more about...
Check out episode 2 out now on all platforms.
Yeah, so my early years. I definitely had... I remember just spending a lot of time alone because even though I had like an older sibling, my mum was always working, dad was out gallivanting and doing what he did. And I remember just feeling that there was a void, as a child. Like I felt very lonely at times. And I used to have to fill that void with just activities or just things.
Did you feel like you realized you were different as a child? Or now when you're older?
As a child, I thought that I was different. There was something different about me. Like I just
like
didn't. Yeah, like exactly. It's very relatable. But also because I think I had to mature quite quickly as well. So for me, it was more a case of just like not being able to relate to a lot of the kids because, they would have, most of them had like normal family dynamics. Like sometimes mom would pick them up, sometimes dad would, sometimes both of them would. I used to either be collected by one parent or the other, or sometimes just make my way home with my sibling. So, it was just, there was always a sense of like, okay, things are a little bit different with us and our dynamic. And it didn't really eat away at me until sorry to answer your question. Yeah, like later on is when it started to hit me. I would say in my teenage years. Yeah. That's when I was introduced to like counseling and stuff in school because, I was started to act out and be a bit rebellious. And this was just a result of not knowing how to process what I'd gone through.
Do you feel it affected your school life?
Massively. Yeah, massively. I think it definitely...
Your social life? It
hindered my social skills massively. I think I wore a mask though. Like a lot of people that probably known me like back then would have never known that was going on with me because I was very good at masking it. I'd always be the happy-go-lucky, I
feel like a lot of the kids that go through things when they're younger do, have multiple masks for different people.
Yeah, that's so true. That's exactly what it was for me. I had like one main group of friends, like that was sort of like from primary school. And then a lot of them like ended up going to the same high school as me, and we were all still together. But in high school, how all the classes get split up, and there's so many more. Like in like primary school, there's only like the 2 classes that we have for each year group. But in high school, there's like
15.
Yeah, no. So a lot of us were like scattered, and then we had to make new friends. And it's also daunting as well, like that jump as well. I just want to say, going from primary school to high school, it's like, whoa, like what just happened?
It goes from like you're just playing like tag in the playground, and then all of a sudden, the girls are wearing makeup and the boys got their trousers on their knees, and we're like, what the heck is going on?
Oh, no, but you know what? That started late for me. I was a late bloomer. I remember actually one of the, this girl from my high school, she actually said to me, she was like, you're like the ugly duckling. And because I just bloomed late.
Bit rude.
Yeah, I was like, it's a bit of a backhanded compliment. No, I'm joking. I was okay with it. I'll take it because like, I think I was quite self-aware. Yeah, definitely. In that sense, because like the first couple of years of high school, oh my God, like no. Like I remember I had my uniform on point and yeah, just that nerdy phase that you go through. No shame. Like we've all been there.
Nah, but that builds character.
No, for sure. No, 100%. 100%. And then it also like in terms of the work that I had to put into myself because I wanted to better myself. But yeah, so high school was sort of like when I really started to become more aware of the impact that my mental health was having on me. And I was really struggling to process my emotions after my parents got divorced. And I think it's also the freedom because my mum was working such long hours. So I had a lot of freedom as well in the sense that like, you know, in the hours between mum came home. But that freedom kind of was an opportunity for me to really just, you know, get away with certain things. But yeah, sorry, we're kind of just digressing here to kind of go back into the mental health side of things. Yeah, counseling was something that one of my teachers had actually offered me because they recognized that there was something going on. You know, they picked it up and they just said like, maybe you might benefit from speaking to a school counselor. So I would go every week and I had these weekly counseling sessions. And it's then when I started to recognize certain patterns. And to be honest with you, I was a little bit reluctant. Although I don't want to be talking to them.
That's what I was just going to ask you. Were you happy to talk to them?
Initially, no. I took it as a joke. I really did. I was like an immature teenager, you know, going through all my changes as well, my transitional phases. But I think it was like about probably a couple of months into it when she started to unpack my home life and my relationship with the authority figures in my life, that I was like, okay, it looks like we're progressing. So it's like an onion. We're just peeling back the different layers of me. So yeah, that was when I first recognized, okay, there is something there, and I don't think it's necessarily something I have to be ashamed of. But it was so rare, you know, back then. I'm a 90s baby. 90s baby. So yeah.
But do you think the counseling helped you explore it further outside of that counseling environment?
Definitely. So it obviously plays on your head. And when I would go home, I would often think about it because it would certain things that we discussed in that space would show up, like in my relationship with my mum, for example. And that's when I was like, okay, like this is actually benefiting me because it's bringing that understanding that I needed, and it helped me mature in that aspect as well, because I wanted to become better. Also,
wanted to become better as a person, or just wanted to process everything around you better?
At that time, I think I wanted to just become better as a person, and also I wanted to connect back to myself. Like I felt like I'd very disconnected to myself. Yeah. So I was able to, through counseling, I was able to reconnect with myself. You know, what were my needs? What did I want? Because even in friendship, like high school is really, really hard. Like even I think for girls as well, like there's a lot of bitchiness and, you know, it's a lot of politics. It really is. It really is. And so like for me as well, like maintaining friendship dynamics and not being aware. Oh, actually what's interesting is a massive part that like plays in my social skills and my sister wound and things like that is like the breakdown of a really close friendship that I had with like a small group of us. And I'd done a lot of self-sabotaging in those dynamics because every time things got good, I'd freak out. And so as you do, you just unintentionally sabotage those connections. And
this is going to be a bit of a deep question, but do you think you did that because you felt like you didn't deserve good friendships?
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. And I can hold it now, like if I spoke about it like back then, I'd be like, absolutely not. But yeah, like, no, it wasn't me, it was all them. No, I definitely take full accountability for the part that I played in the breakdown of that. But I don't think I was given the compassion on their behalf. But again, it's more so about my journey and how I grew from it. And so, yeah, I've come a long way, but that I still see that kind of creep up, that wound, it comes up, that's why I struggled with social anxiety so much. And I only discovered that when I, again, did CBT therapy, and we kind of really got to the root of that. And not trusting. And again, it kind of interlinks with the mother and the father wound as well. So, definitely.
Back to last episode.
Yeah. Yeah. So there was definitely like low self-esteem, not feeling worthy of having like strong, meaningful connections, and then leaving before they leave you, like that can happen in relationships or friendships.
I don't know if you've seen this, but do you watch Jordan Peterson? He talks a lot about this. He says, if you don't have a very strong father figure, you will never feel like you deserve a lot of the love you actually do receive in life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And it definitely does relate back to a lot
No,
of...
that's 100%, 100%. I really, really resonate with that. And that was definitely my journey with building connections, like, and how it impacted my connections in my life, for sure. This is why I love doing the inner work so much, because it's helped me like really blossom in that sense. I've grown so much. Even though I still find, if I'm completely transparent, I still do struggle when it comes to building new connections and cultivating trust. But I do understand that that's something deeply rooted within myself. And, that's whenever we recognize these things, it's an opportunity for myself to go and explore that deeper. So yeah, it's interesting. And I love this work. I love devoting my time and energy to my evolution.
What are some things that you had to do to work on your social anxiety, or some things that could help someone else that's going through what you went through?
Okay, well, I would like to share a little bit about what I went through when I speak about social anxiety. I feel like it shows up differently for everyone.
100%.
So,
I recently found out I had social anxiety, but I never realized it.
oh,
Because
really?
there's a video I was watching. It was, talking, that anxiety song, anxiety. It was like
Oh,
this guy
yeah.
enters a room and everyone else is looking at him. But then when he looks up, no one's looking at him. And in the caption of the video, it was like, this is what social anxiety is. This is how I feel sometimes. And I thought this was normal,
You do. You do. I went a long time thinking it was normal. It's interesting because as you were saying that, this is why it's so important to be mindful of what we are consuming. Because I used to listen to Juice WRLD, anxiety. Oh my God. And I would have that like on loop. But I was just reaffirming that narrative over and over again. And it was being programmed into my subconscious. And because I was going for anxiety, I was like, oh, this is a flex. Like, I'm anxious. Like, this is cool. Like, no. Okay, so to go back to the social anxiety was, for me, the root of it was actually a lot to do with the fact that, like I said in a previous episode, about not recognizing who I am. So it was a way to hide and isolate myself. Because I wasn't happy with who I was and where I was at. And so for me, that was sort of like what I needed to work on, that low self-esteem. Also because I am a very sensitive being. I didn't know this about myself. Well, I probably did, but I never accepted this about myself. I was always ashamed to say that I'm a sensitive person, that when I go out, I'm very empathetic. So sometimes I would even though I've been the chronic venter, I feel like the more I was healing, the more I found myself holding space for others. And I love doing that. I honestly do. I feel like I have the heart space to do that. But this is where I had to really learn to uphold certain boundaries, because I would make other people's, don't want to say problems, but let's say baggage, my priority. And I realized that I was putting other people before myself. And so naturally I took a step back, but I think that taking that step back kind of got a bit too, I got too comfortable in that space. I was like, okay, I like this. And as you can see, I love solitude. So I love being alone. I mean, I learned a lot about myself in that space, but that social anxiety started to really, really grow, and I wasn't going out. I wouldn't go anywhere. It literally got to the point where if I heard a neighbor, like those literal memes about introverts, like if I hear someone walking past and I'm about to leave the house, no, U-turn, we're going back in. And so, yeah. Wow. Yeah. Any sound, if I hear like the neighbor walking their dog, someone going to go to like, we have like a little porch area for their posts and stuff. I'd literally just U-turn, go back in. Going to shops, I would go out of my way to dress like completely unapproachable. It was always a hoodie. So like during COVID, I think that's when I got like really, like it's almost like a pass, I could just wear this mask. I had my hoodie on and I didn't have to talk to anyone. So that kind of amplified everything that I was feeling with the social anxiety, because I was like, okay, like I'd created safety, like measures for myself. And honestly, like, I think that I started to spot, this is what triggered my panic disorder. And I think I'd kind of discovered this after the therapy. So my panic disorder would just out of nowhere kick in. Every time I'd go out and about somewhere, I'd start to feel like my breathing would change. I'd get really, really anxious and start feeling like I'm going to like pass out.
So you used to get a lot of panic attacks?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was really bad. And actually the panic attacks had a lot to do with me becoming a hypochondriac.
What's a hypochondriac?
So I was, someone who, first of all, there's different, like, again, it shows up differently. But for me, it was basically every time I had an ache or a pain, I would, like in my body or anything, like for example, an anxiety attack coming on because of my breathing changing. I would research my symptoms. And then it would spiral. Like I would convince myself I'm having a stroke or a heart attack. And at one point, guys, it was so bad. I had paramedics at my house like weekly, like multiple times a week. I was calling it, like I'd be like calling the ambulance. And it's not a place that I'm really proud of, because honestly, it was a really, really dark place to be in. And it was scary. It was so scary. And it sort of interlinked with the postpartum depression that I went through. And I had a lot of shame around that, because once you become a parent, like you want to be, because nowadays after my healing journey as well, when I reflect back, I know how important it is to do the inner work. I would encourage like those of you who might be planning to start a family to work and prioritize your healing. And obviously because my pregnancy wasn't exactly planned. So it was a really scary place for me, because obviously I was a parent and going through all of that with my child there, and I was a stay at home mum at the time. So it was like really, really scary to think that you're gonna like die. Essentially, I would literally convince myself in those moments that I'm dying. And what happens is, this is how powerful our thoughts are. Any of those like thoughts that I had would manifest as a physical sensation in my body. So I would think I'm having a shooting pain down my arm. My chest would tighten up. My breathing would change. And then I would have paramedics coming over, like I said, multiple times a week. And they would do like ECGs and, giving me that reassurance that everything is fine. But they were like, I think it was after like the third time that I called, they were like, I think we really think that you need to start therapy. And I had given CBT therapy a chance like multiple times before that, but I was never, I wasn't committed to it, and I would mess it up because again, like I couldn't like accept that I was talking to a random stranger about what I was going through. And I don't think I was even in a place where I wanted to help myself. It was just like I was happy with self-sabotage. Yeah, just for the sake of doing it, just to get like the GP off my back. Like I'd go there and I'd complain about having anxiety. And then I was on antidepressants. And I tried, I think, the first round, and I was like, this doesn't work for me at all. If anything, it made me feel a lot worse.
Worse, yeah, because when you come off it, you just start spiraling again.
Exactly. So for me personally, I'm not saying that for others it might not help, and I'm not in any way saying that if you are on, meds. Yeah, we're not, just a disclaimer. If it is helping you, I mean, that's great. I mean, I personally prefer a more holistic approach now. That has proven to work.
I think that is the better way to approach mental health, because just taking medicine and filling your body with drugs isn't really going to do anything when you're trying to fix something with your mind.
Yeah, and I feel like with like natural remedies as well, and even with like holistic healing, I've been able to get to the root of it. I feel like the medication is just like putting a band-aid over the wound. It's not actually healing it. So for me, being able to explore other tools, and particularly spiritual tools, it's really helped me in my healing process. Do I still have days where my mental health is, not doing so great? I'm not doing so great. Of course, I still have those days. But I think the darkest, scariest time would be the panic disorder, combined with that like sort of chronic anxiety. And then also clinical depression, which we'll go into. But yeah, I'd love to hear if you have any other questions or insights about the panic disorder. I'd love to share more about my journey. I really hope that it can help someone else that might be going through out there.
I reckon it will definitely help a lot of people, because most people don't even realize that they're going through these things until someone like you starts talking about it.
And then they'll say, oh, maybe, I do have these problems. But with the panic disorder, was there anything that could, in particular set you off, or, or make you prone
There's
to
loads of things. Okay, so first of all, it would be anxiety. It would start off with something, I don't know, I'd just be having a normal, be going about my day normally. And then
do you feel like it was more of a snowball effect? Is that what you're saying? Like it starts with something very small and you don't address it, so it becomes something bigger and it keeps going, and then you get to a panic attack.
Yeah, so for me it was sort of, I'd be having a normal day. So okay, let's talk like the first time it started happening. Yeah, because the following ones were sort of going back to, because of it happened in the past, it's happening again. So it was sort of like PTSD. But the initial sort of beginning of the panic disorder was because I had this constant like vision and memory of my dad. So my dad had seizures towards the end, because like I think he was actually trying to stop drinking and cut down. And when he would, some of you guys might already know, but with alcoholism, just cold turkey, when you stop drinking, it's not recommended. It can be even more like detrimental. Yeah. So he started having seizures, and I remember he came home one day and at this point, if I'm completely honest, guys, I had this inner knowing that things were not going to end well, because the way things were progressing for him.
You could see.
I could just see, yeah. And he was being dropped home every day, either by police or paramedics. And it was just like there was something always going on. And the health aspect of it scared me, because so he passed away from a cardiac arrest. And he was on the bus, and the driver didn't know that he'd like passed away, and he was just the driver thought he was sleeping.
I see.
So just that kind of like hearing that, would just like going back to like hearing the story when the police explained what had happened, that would just make me immediately think about my own health and being a parent. So I would relate that. And there was also this one event where he came home, and I was having a normal conversation with him in the living room. He was standing there, could see he was obviously drunk, completely like intoxicated. And he was looking me dead in the eyes, and he was like, yeah, just having a conversation with me. And then I just see him like just drop, like just literally just collapse like on the floor. And he kind of went into like a fit or a seizure. And I was freaking out because I thought he was gone in that moment. But this was before he'd passed. And obviously before he passed, sorry. And that would just always replay in my mind. And so whenever I had any like physical symptom in my body, I would associate it with that scenario. And that's when it started for me, the panic disorder. I was like, okay, I could die any minute. I could have a seizure. I could, even though I wasn't leading the same life, I had my own self-sabotaging ways and coping mechanisms. So it wasn't healthy. And yeah, it just...
You had unhealthy coping mechanisms. Do you care to share or you don't?
Okay.
Kind of put her on the spot here. Okay, now why don't we go back to what happened on your first panic attack? Did you call the paramedics that day? Did you call Arthur? What happened?
Yeah. So, okay. I won't share what my coping mechanisms are just because I feel like it's a very raw, personal part of my journey, which I'm not ready to share just yet. But some of them, just to sort of quickly touch on a few, I'll just say things like, just of completely avoiding real life. My life was just sort of like I put myself into a bit of a box at home. And so, we have social media. We have social media to escape, which is constantly doom scrolling. Yeah. There was things like that. Okay, we'll leave that there. Sorry, it's very anticlimactic. Because she's going to tell us, but no. That's all right. Okay, sorry, to go back to what you said. So the first time, this was really scary. So I was at home with my 2.5-year-old daughter. No way. This was really, really intense and scary, and oh my God, it was
I thought it was before my was born.
No.
I'll beep her name out.
Yeah. No, so full blown, I mean, I had anxiety attacks, but that's quite different to a panic attack. Like it's with the anxiety, your breathing changes, but the panic attack was like full blown. Like it would spiral. So what happened is I was at home with my 2.5-year-old and she was just playing and I was going about my day normally cleaning. And then I started to feel this really like a lot of pressure in my head. I like I couldn't breathe. So almost like, when you're holding your breath, but like I just wasn't getting enough oxygen. And so I started to get dizzy and immediately I went into just panic mode. There wasn't even a moment to stop and be like, okay, like let's just have a seat. Maybe you're dehydrated or it could be anything. No, you're having a stroke. Like in that moment, I was like, you're having a stroke. I don't know why I thought that. But again, through this therapy, like I said, it's because of what I'd seen with my dad.
Especially because you were with your daughter. That's what's probably going on.
Yeah, that was even more like just so traumatizing for me as well, because she was there and I was like, I got like, God forbid, like my child there and me go through anything like that. And she's a 2.5-year-old child. And I was like, in my head, I was like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Like she's going to find me and she's not going to know what to do. Then by the time her dad comes home from work, it was really scary. But I called him. Yeah. So I called my partner and I was like, oh, I can't breathe. I think I'm having a stroke. Please come home. Please come home now. Like I'm having a stroke. I've called the ambulance because I called the ambulance first. Yeah. And I was like, I'm having a stroke. Then I called him. I said, the ambulance is on the way. He called his mum to come and pick up. So my daughter's grandma, she came and picked up my daughter. And when she got there, the paramedics had just arrived. I'm not going to lie, the headspace that I was in when she arrived, I was like, I didn't even want to, I couldn't. It's not that I didn't want to, I couldn't talk to anyone. I couldn't communicate to anyone. I was like, just get me help. I'm having like a stroke, like I can't breathe. And I think she was trying to calm me down, but I was like, I just need a doctor. Like I need to be like, alive. Yeah. And so they sat me down and then that's when they first took me through like the whole process. They were like, calm down, breathe, like connect with, just so you know, we believe you're having a panic attack. Yeah. They were like, do you know what that is? Is it the first time? I was like, I think so. And I was like, no, but I'm having a stroke. They were like, no, we're going to do an ECG, just relax. Yeah. And they were like, just focus on your breath. So I started to connect with my breath and I started to notice like slowly, I was coming away from it. I mean, it wasn't immediately. I have to emphasize, it was slowly. It was a lot. To me, it felt very long because it just was prolonged, but I was still amidst like the middle of that panic attack. I just want to share as well that it's not just what happens during the panic attack, the impact it has on your nervous system and what you go through after. It was so challenging for me to heal my nervous system from that.
It's basically like you're on overdrive.
Yeah.
Like neurons, your whole brain is lighting up. That's why you get so overwhelmed.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'd gone through so much stress. I just think that even till this day, I'm still working on healing from the panic disorder. So that was like what happened on the first time. I'm just so thankful and grateful to God that I had, family members that were able to come and take my child and support me through that. But then that's from that moment onwards is when I was like, no, you need to go therapy. Like this is not going to work, because it was only a couple of days later I called the paramedics again. And I had another panic attack. And
so you decide to go to therapy after the first time or after the first couple of times?
After the first couple of times.
Did you go on your own accord?
Yeah, this time around I did. They recommended it, but it was sort of like after what I'd experienced and then I learned, I was like, okay, you weren't having a stroke. Yeah. This is something that is known as a panic attack. Yeah. So I started to research more about a panic attack, not my symptoms, but more so I wanted to educate myself on what was going on. And this really helped. Okay. Like being able to educate myself was like a game changer for me, because I now knew what was going on. I had an understanding, that knowledge was there.
It's because you're getting close to the root of
the root. Yeah, the root. So that definitely immediately created a shift. And then we worked from that space onwards.
How was your first session of therapy? Or how do you feel it improved your life after?
I really want to talk about this actually, because with therapy, I had a trainee therapist and she was absolutely amazing.
Oh, I thought you were going to say...
No, on the contrary, she was absolutely amazing. Yeah. From the very first session, therapy started for a lot of people who have gone to therapy might relate to this, but the first couple of sessions you have, for me, it was just crying. I just cried. There wasn't much. Like I was sharing like what was going on, but it was just a safe
space.
Sorry, I'm wheezing.
That's all right. Drink some water.
Yeah, let me
That's probably why. I heard that.
Yeah, mate, that's on Jesus, she needs therapy. She needs an inhaler, like nebulizer. Okay, so yeah, the first couple of sessions of therapy were like just me crying. I felt like I needed a safe space to be held, and she was amazing because I could see that she was so devoted to her job. Even though she was a trainee, she wanted to help me. Yeah. And she was like, look, I'm sorry, there's a long waiting list. And in the UK, you might know about this, like, especially when you want to start therapy. Yeah. There's such a long waiting list. And she was like, so it's me, or like you just wait. Yeah. And I was like, no, I want to give you a go. Let's go. Let's try this out. So she was very professional. And like I said, first few sessions, cried a lot. It was by about the fourth session that I had that we started to break down, like get into the root. And she was really, really able to help me. We did loads of exercises. So for example, when I feel dizzy, I would immediately, as I feel like I'm not getting enough oxygen and I feel dizzy, that's when I'd be like, you're about to faint and you're about to pass out or you're about to have a stroke. Yeah. So she'd made me do this exercise of me jogging on the spot.
Oh, wow.
So she was like, right, jog on the spot. And I want you to just take a moment and stand there and see like how you feel like after you do that, like if you're feeling dizzy, because she would throw these words that would trigger me, like my trigger words at me when I'm jogging.
I see.
So when I was doing that, I was distracted because I was focusing on the jog. Yeah. But when certain words she would say, it would trigger like that response from me. So it was interesting to do these exercises. And this time around, I was giving it a go for myself. I was like, I want to try and make this work. You know, I don't want it to just be like what everyone else says, like, and what's happened. My past doesn't have to be like, you know. the way, like, it doesn't have to reflect my present. So I was like, I'm going to give it a go. And it really helped, guys. It really, really helped. She gave me exercises weekly. I had a journal that I had where I would put down all my triggers, my day-to-day triggers. And I noticed, like, slowly, I really started to see massive changes. I wasn't relying on those safety measures. So for instance, after week 3 or 4, where every time I used to feel dizzy, I used to go and like put on a kettle or like make some tea, like do something to distract myself. I wasn't distracting myself. I was sitting with it. Okay. And it's like I was confronting that fear. And to me, it felt like I was reclaiming my power because I wasn't letting that fear control me. Yeah. So it was powerful. And
it's like with any fear though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like with any fear. If you can confront it, you take that power that it has away from what's scaring you.
So yeah, like that panic aspect of things was really, really scary place to be. But I'm very grateful to have come out the other side. I still have moments. It hasn't happened as much, but I have had a few instances in recent times as well, actually, where I thought I was having a panic attack.
Ooh, then are there any tips or tricks you can give people out there that are potentially going through the same things that you have gone through to help them with their panic attacks?
Okay, yeah. So first and foremost, don't research your symptoms. Don't do that. Okay, there's I'm very clear on that. Okay, just do not research your symptoms.
Especially ChatGPT will just tell you you're dying.
Oh my God, no. I didn't even, the thing is, back then when I was going through this, like, thank God, actually, there wasn't ChatGPT. So it would just be Google. And yeah, just don't Google your symptoms. Okay, if like another disclaimer, I'm not a medical professional, but just I'm speaking from my own experience. What I would do is I first and foremost would start to reconnect with my breath. There's different exercises. Oh, what's this one called? Where you name things. So something you can see, something you can hear, something you can feel. So I would do that. Yeah, sorry, there's a name for this exercise. Forgive me, guys. But yeah, there is a name for this exercise.
Editor will put it on screen now.
Please add that on. So that helped me as well, box breathing.
What's box breathing?
So, okay, you have to breathe, you have to count. So for me, I would like count to 4 and then I'd inhale, exhale, and then it's sort of like following like a box. Yeah.
Okay. So it's like 1, inhale.
Yeah, 2, exhale. Yeah. And that helped me, like breathing. Most importantly, it was the way that I spoke to myself in that moment. Now, this wasn't something that they told me to do in therapy. It's just how I reconnected back to myself. So I would, okay, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Okay, I feel like I'm having a stroke, like I can't breathe. And instead of reaching for the phone and calling an ambulance straight away, I would just sit with myself, focus on the breathing. And I used words of affirmation. So I would say like, all is well. All is well. You're fine. You're absolutely fine. You're safe. Most importantly, you're safe. You are safe. Okay. You're still here. You're breathing. You're safe. And I learned to rely on the people as well. Like if I had someone around me, like I would speak it through with them. Like, I'm going through this right now. I know it's hard. I know it's really hard when you're going through the panic attack. You can't really talk. You're just freeze mode. But breathing, maybe having a drink. Have like a drink of water, hydrate yourself. Yeah, no alcohol. Just like for me, it was just going for a glass of water and just being like grounding myself into that present moment, and breathing and just letting it pass. Okay, there's no need to like rush it and be like, oh my God, I've drank the water, I've done the breathing, I'm not like, I'm not back yet. Like give yourself time to come back to the moment, and believe me guys, it will pass. And the more you practice that and you're consistent with it, you will begin to reclaim that power that panic attack has over you. I mean, I can go into more about the roots and things like that if you guys are interested, because today's episode is more about me sharing my mental health journey, but I'll give you more insights. Definitely I'll dedicate an episode to tools that can support you.
Are there any ways, like you explained for the panic disorder, is there anything that you did to overcome your social anxiety as well that people could try at home?
I did the complete opposite of what I didn't want to do. So, for example, I didn't want to go out. I went out. I
I feel
started
like
going
that
out.
is the only way to
Yeah,
beat it.
you have to face it. Like it was the hardest thing for me to do. Like, especially as someone who isolated for like almost a decade of my life. Like, even if I did meet people, the people that have met me, they know that I would be like, right, okay, how many people are going to be at this event? I'm not going to come if there's going to be a lot of people. Or I'd look for anyways. I'll be like, yeah, I'll see you then, guys. And then like, hey, guys, I'm not making it. So I'm not proud of it, but it got just... Yeah, where is she? She said she was coming. Yeah, no. So I would just literally, I just started going out. I started small, so small stuff. And for me, that small stuff was like school stuff. Okay. So before I'd be that, like, I think it's called a type C mum, where I'm just go in and out, like, don't interact with anyone. But yeah, I started to just like at school, just try and socialize with some parents that you see, or even speaking to a teacher. And that was sort of like the first initial step. Then it sort of slowly transitioned into I was started to become more open about what I was going through. So I spoke to my partner and I was like, look, I'm struggling. Like I have very severe social anxiety. He was very supportive, which I'm very grateful for. Shout out to him. And he was like, okay, look, let's work through this. So this is when I was introduced to Reiki, actually, because he came across an influencer that was going to now at the moment she was my Reiki master. Yeah. And he was like, look, do you want to try this out? I know you're like into like, lots of spiritual tools and things, like maybe you want to give this a go. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, let me just try it. And I went to a Reiki session, 1-to-1 session with her, and I spoke through everything I was going through. And she made me realize that, it's very common. A lot of people struggle with anxiety. And so that helped me.
Because I feel like people aren't educated about it enough. They just,
no, not
even
at all.
me, I wouldn't know anything about it unless I see someone else, tell me about it.
I feel like you need to explore as well. And even that was me coming out of my social anxiety, like little, hermit cave. Yeah. I was like, okay, I'm going to try this out. And going to, like, one thing is going to meet people that you know, but going to meet someone that you've never met before was even more daunting. But I just took that leap of faith. And this is what I love about being in the unknown. You've got to just trust the unknown. Like, nothing great happens in your comfort zone. You have to step out of it. And so I just decided, I was like, I'm going to go explore this. I'm going to go see where this takes me. Trust the process and all. So I went, did my Reiki session. I felt amazing. Even from that very first session, speaking to someone, having that safe space. And it just felt like a light came, like literally a light was just shining down and then kind of banishing all the darkness that was around me. And that was the first step kind of like towards me overcoming that social anxiety. And from then it was like, okay, like let's go and attend that little, social gathering or going out, whether it's just going to the shops, but slowly, those baby steps, and really make sure you take time to celebrate those milestones as well. Like I was doing that daily. I was like, you did it, like all my friends call me Hems. So I was like, yes, Hems, you did it. Like you went out, you took that leap of faith, and that's why I'm here now, guys. And I'm able to do this because I stayed committed and devoted to that path. Okay.
So I just wanted to go back to something you mentioned earlier. You said something about depression, and this is obviously a big kind of epidemic, if you say.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't realize that they're depressed. So would you care to just go a little bit into that?
Of course. Okay, so I think I mentioned at the beginning as well, early years being depressed, not knowing that it was depression as a child because, we have no awareness of what's happening. I became clinically depressed I was diagnosed with that in my final year of university. But I think that it was ongoing anyways, but it was like formally, like, just like diagnosed with it. Yeah. Because I was caring for my dad. He had relapsed. And at that point, like I that last kind of speck of hope that I had, because my dad did stop drinking for 7 years. And that's huge for our family. That was huge. We were able to build a completely different relationship with him. And I'm so grateful, because I'm truly grateful for that time, because I feel like in that time I really got to meet the real dad, the real version of him, like the one that we didn't get to spend much time with. But 7 years was a lot. So that was a massive blessing. And it was when he relapsed that kind of like that hope that was restored felt like it was taken away. And then I started to kind of lose interest in everything that I was doing. I was in the final year of my law degree, and it was a lot to process, and because I didn't feel like I had enough people around me that could relate or understand what I was going through, I decided to just sort of like keep those feelings and emotions to myself. And I think that's when it really struck me that, like I had lost complete interest in everything that I used to do. I remember I was still like staying at my mum's. So I had my room, and I would be in my room all day, every day. I would listen to only depressing music. I would watch only depressing movies. A lot of like self-loathing going on. Even in my relationship, like I felt like I was so disconnected. I didn't really feel interested in anything. Like, I was quite extroverted before that. And that's when it really, really kicked in. The introverted side of me kicked in. I didn't want to go anywhere. I didn't want to do anything. And I just changed. I completely changed as a person. Something else I want to talk about is like the neglect that came with it. You start to neglect yourself, the way you look, the way you feel, like just even self-care. It got very, very stagnant. There's a lot of stagnation. I was just stuck in this cycle.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, just
downward spiral.
Yeah. I was doing nothing. It was just like, okay, apart from studying, coming home, like studying, and then just straight. And even with my studies, I started to feel very disconnected. That passion, that drive that I had was just completely diminished. And so I would just suffer in silence. I had a lot of shame around it as well, because I didn't recognize this version or this person that I was becoming. And I couldn't help it. Like, like a lot of people would say to me like, oh, you just need to do this. Like I know how it feels when you have like your friends and family members, like, just get out, just get yourself out. I wish I could. I want to, believe me, but I can't bring myself to do it. And so, yeah, I went to the doctors and spoke to them. And then again, I was offered therapy, put on antidepressants, didn't help.
Do you think the antidepressants made it worse because you didn't get to the root problem?
Yeah, definitely. As in, from a personal experience, for me, it didn't help me. I didn't feel like it was helping. I didn't see any positive results. So I just discontinued use for me. And then I had to and to be honest with you, it took me years to even want to heal.
That side of
I was just in denial. To be honest, I became quite complacent and comfortable with being depressed.
where you were.
Yeah, and it was sort of like I almost used it as a way to feel like,
That's an excuse.
Yeah, an excuse, like, oh, I'm superior, like, like I like to be alone. So, but not in the same way that I see solitude now, just to emphasize. It was more so just, again, becoming comfortable, not wanting to do anything and not having any inspiration for life.
If the changes would have been so small, one at a time, you wouldn't have realized how bad it got.
Yeah, that's true.
It's only when you reflect back, when everything has happened, and you're like, what's happened? Like, you don't recognize yourself.
Yeah, that's very true. And it was a lonely place as well. The sad part is I did sort of voice it to a few of the people that were in my life at the time. And they responded with absence. Like, I don't want to associate with this negative person. Yeah, that's how it came across. Like, okay, she's low vibration energy. We don't want to be around her because she's struggling. And just as an empath myself, who goes above and beyond, it's just, I think I would have dealt with things a lot differently. But that's okay, because it brought me on this journey, and I learned to become a safe space for myself. And I think it was really good, and actually it was a blessing in disguise, because it helped me break free from codependency as well. When you go out, you want to have a drink with your friends, you just want to escape from everything, but it's not actually helping. You're not getting anywhere.
Everything happens for a reason.
Definitely. So that was my clinical depression. But like I said, it got really, really bad.
Yeah.
It was like, to that, I wasn't leaving my house. I wasn't doing anything. I was cooped up in my room, eating habits.
That's what I was going to get on to next. What were your eating habits like? Was it really bad?
There was a point where, like, I kind of stopped eating.
Completely.
Yeah. That's when I think I kind of, the body dysmorphia and things kicked in with the eating disorder. Spiraling again. It would either be not eating at all or eating everything in sight. So there wasn't a balance there. And eating habits, even hygiene. I'm gonna be honest and open about this as well, guys, because this is real depression. It's not something I'm necessarily proud of. But when I say neglect, like, when you're clinically depressed, it can get really, really bad, and you get so low to the point where you can completely neglect everything, like, literally, like, hygiene-wise, your needs, taking care of your personal needs, self-care, everything. And you have to work so hard to get yourself out of that place, and it's not an easy fix.
It will take so much just to go and have a shower.
Yeah, exactly. Just to get yourself up, exactly. To get changed. You've been in those clothes all day, but you're just, you're stuck in that self-imposed prison, and you're comfortable in that self-imposed prison. You're just like, okay, I'm who am I going to do it for? You don't realize you're doing it for you. And that, just to end and sort of bring this to a close, actually, I think it's a beautiful time to do it, is what actually sparked my self-love journey. It was my entire mental health journey. It awakened me to my self-love journey. And that's when it's kind of sparked, from that moment when I was like, enough is enough now. Like, I don't want to be this person anymore. And that combined with parenthood as well. So, okay, the best way to put it is, it inspired my self-love journey, my mental health. And I'm so, so grateful. Again, I want to just emphasize, to be where I am today. And I hope that I can be an advocate for mental health, and raise that awareness for anyone else that is struggling. And just to sort of remind you guys not to suffer in silence. Like, there is support out there.
And if you see your friends struggling, make sure to go check in on them as well.
Yeah, please do check in on your friends. Given you have the capacity. Like, hi, I'm thinking of you. That goes a really long way. So check in on your loved ones, your friends, that neighbor, anyone. And just make sure that you are prioritizing yourself. And if you feel like you need to get support, then don't suffer in silence. Reach out to someone, because there is. Yeah. Reach out to me, guys. Yeah, exactly. Reach out to me. Yeah, please do share, like, how you can relate, and what you've gone through. I'd love to hear your stories, as I'm sure everyone, that align with Soulitude community would love to hear as well. Let's spark a conversation for sure about this, and raise more awareness. And most importantly, restore hope. there is light, guys. There is light at the end of that tunnel. I'm a walking, talking example
As
of
dark
it.
as it may seem right now, there is always light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes, most definitely.
And I feel like this is the perfect place to bring this episode to an end.
Yes, it's been a long chat. I can talk for England.
But thank you guys for watching, and this is Himali signing us out.
Yes, thank you so much for those of you who've tuned in today. I appreciate you all. Thank you for being brave and courageous to walk this path. So yeah, okay. It brings us to the end of this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you resonated with this video, and comment down below. Make sure to hit that notification button so you can stay updated on all upcoming episodes. So guys, until next time, honor your process, trust your path, and keep aligning with Soulitude.